Okay, so you're interested in LLMs, those AI systems like ChatGPT that can write different kinds of creative text formats
Yeah.
and answer your questions like a human expert.
Right.
But how do we know what they really know? That's what this deep dive is all about.
Okay.
We're looking at some fascinating research fresh from the pages of Nature Machine Intelligence.
Really?
That says we're terrible at judging how confident these AI models are in their own answers.
Oh, wow.
And even worse, we're often more confident in a wrong answer when the AI gives us a longer explanation.
It's true.
So,
This research digs into something called the calibration gap.
calibration gap.
Think of it this way.
Okay.
You ask an LLM about, let's say, the best strategies for teaching kids to read.
Okay.
It gets you a confident answer. Sounds great, right?
Yeah, sounds good.
But what you don't see is the LLM's internal confidence level.
Right.
Which might be super low because it's pulling from outdated research.
Interesting.
That's the calibration gap. Your confidence in the answer is likely way higher than the LLM's.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
So it's like the AI is putting on a brave face even when it's not sure.
We really do.
And we fall for it.
And to make matters worse,
Oh, no.
the researchers found that people were even more confident in an LLM's answer when the explanation was longer. Think about it.
Yeah.
Would you be more likely to trust a short factual answer
Yeah.
or a long winding explanation with lots of extra detail?
I think I'd go for the long explanation.
Our brains seem wired to equate length with credibility.
Yeah.
But with these LLMs longer doesn't mean more accurate.
So what can we do about this? We can't just ignore LLMs. They're becoming more and more a part of how we get information.
Absolutely.
Right.
This isn't about avoiding LLMs.
Okay.
It's about using them intelligently.
Right.
And this research actually offers some solutions.
Okay, great.
The researchers tried tweaking how the LLMs give their explanations. Instead of letting them be super smooth, even when unsure.
Yeah.
They forced them to use language that reflected their actual confidence level.
Oh, interesting.
If the LLM was only 20% sure,
Okay.
it had to say something like, I'm not totally sure, but...
So they had to admit they weren't so sure.
Yes.
Did that actually work?
It did.
Did people become less confident?
It's like making the AI fess up to its uncertainty. People's confidence became much more aligned with how accurate the LLM actually was.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
So we can fix this problem.
It appears so.
Okay.
This research gives us a reason to be optimistic.
Good.
It suggests we can bridge the gap between what LLMs know and what we think they know.
Yeah.
It's all about design and transparency.
And for this study, they didn't just use any old LLM, did they?
No, they used 3 different LLMs.
Okay.
They tested GPT 3.5,
Okay.
Palom 2, which is Google's model,
Right.
and GPT-4ao.
Wow, a variety.
And they gave them a real challenge, using tricky questions from sources like the Massive Multitask Language Understanding Dataset,
What?
or MMLU.
MMLU.
It covers a ton of different topics.
Okay.
And Trivia QA, which is packed with trivia questions.
Oh, fun.
The researchers wanted to understand how these LLMs perform on different kinds of knowledge.
So these LLMs were put to the test.
Yeah,
And we humans, well, we failed to judge them accurately.
that's right.
We keep mentioning this calibration gap, but there was another gap in the research, was there?
Yes,
What was it?
the discrimination gap.
Discrimination app.
This one measures how well humans, compared to the LLM itself,
Okay.
can tell the difference between a right answer and a wrong one.
Oh, so can we sniff out the BS better than the AI can?
The study found that people are, for the most part,
Okay.
terrible at this.
Oh, no.
We tend to be way overconfident in LLM answers. We see a short, seemingly logical explanation, and our brains go, yep, must be right.
Oh, yeah.
But the LLMs themselves, at least in this study, were often better at recognizing which answers were likely right or wrong.
That is pretty humbling.
Yeah.
So we're not only overconfident, we're also not as good as the AI at judging the AI.
That's what this research suggests.
Wow.
And it really underscores the need for what we were just talking about.
Okay.
Design solutions that help us better understand and evaluate LLM output.
Okay, but why are the LLMs giving these overconfident explanations? Is it a quirk in the technology?
Well,
Are they trying to pull a fast one on us?
it's probably not intentional deception.
Okay.
The researchers have some interesting theories about why this might be happening.
Okay, lay it on me.
One idea is that it has to do with how LLMs are trained,
All right.
using something called reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF for short.
RLHF. Okay, so RLHF. Okay.
It means that during training,
Yeah.
the LLM learns what kind of answers the UL humans prefer.
Uh-huh.
And we tend to like answers that sound confident and certain.
Right.
So
Okay.
maybe by rewarding smooth, confident answers,
Yeah.
we've accidentally taught the LLM to be too smooth,
Oh,
even when unsure.
so it's like we've created a digital yes man.
It's a funny way to think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a valid concern. And this brings up a question the researchers are pondering.
Yeah, what's that?
Is there something more to intelligence than simply sounding confident?
Interesting.
Are we accidentally limiting the potential of LLMs by training them this way?
That's a great question, and it makes you think about how we can improve the training process, right?
Exactly. It's all about finding the right balance.
Yeah.
Encouraging the AI to be confident when it's justified,
Right.
but also being transparent when it's not.
So RLHF might be inadvertently training LLMs to be overconfident.
Right.
What's the other theory about why this happens?
Okay, so
You mentioned something about how LLMs generate language.
the other theory has to do with how LLMs predict the next word in a sentence.
Okay.
Based on the words that came before.
Uh-huh.
It's a bit technical.
Okay.
But essentially it means that once the LLM commits to an answer,
Yeah.
it's more likely to generate an explanation that supports that answer.
Okay.
Even if its internal confidence level is low.
So it's kind of like when your phone tries to predict the next word, you're going to type in a text message.
Exactly. It's like a chain reaction, where each word influences the next.
Interesting.
And the researchers think that this process might make LLMs inherently prone to overconfidence.
Okay.
Once they've said the answer is X,
Yeah.
their language generation process might be biased towards justifying that answer,
Right.
regardless of how sure they actually are.
So it's like they get so caught up in their own storytelling that they forget to check if the story is actually true.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And it highlights the fact that these are complex systems.
For sure.
There's a lot going on under the hood.
Right.
We still have a lot to learn about how LLMs actually work.
Now, in this study,
Yeah.
the researchers didn't just look at how people judged LLM answers.
Uh-huh.
They also had participants try to answer the same questions themselves.
Oh, okay.
What was the point of that?
The researchers wanted to compare human performance to AI performance,
Okay.
and to see if people could leverage their own knowledge to improve on the LLM's answers. Remember, we're talking about tricky questions from those massive data sets
Yeah.
designed to challenge even the most knowledgeable humans.
Right. So how did we humans stack up against the AI?
Well, it turns out that for these tough questions,
Yeah.
people's accuracy wasn't significantly better than the LLMs.
Really?
In other words, we were both getting a lot of answers wrong.
Huh.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Because you'd think if the LLMs are well calibrated,
Yeah.
meaning their internal confidence scores are accurate,
Right.
then people should be able to do better by trusting the AI when it's confident
Yeah, that makes sense.
and using their own knowledge when the AI expresses uncertainty.
So why didn't that happen? Why weren't people able to outperform the AI?
That's the intriguing part.
Okay.
It seems like people were still getting swayed by those overconfidence explanations, even when they should have been more skeptical.
Really?
Remember, even when the AI was unsure,
Yeah.
it could still sound very convincing.
So even knowing about this calibration gap,
Right?
even knowing that the AI might be overconfident,
Exactly.
we still fall for it.
It appears so.
Wow.
It suggests that we're not very good at integrating our own knowledge with the AI's output. We're not effectively collaborating with the AI.
So what you're saying is that the key to using LLMs successfully is learning how to be a good partner to the AI.
Exactly.
Knowing when to trust it,
Yes.
when to question it, and when to bring our own knowledge into the mix.
It's not about humans versus machines.
Okay.
It's about humans and machines working together.
Right.
And that requires us to understand both the strengths and weaknesses of our AI partners.
Which brings us back to those design evolutions we were talking about earlier.
Exactly.
We want to be good partners to these LLMs.
Yeah.
We need AI systems that are designed for collaboration. We need AI that's transparent, that explains its reasoning,
Yes.
and that helps us understand its level of confidence. Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we design AI that's more transparent and trustworthy?
That's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll look at some practical design tweaks that the researchers tested in this study. Tweaks that can make a big difference in how we interact with LLMs.
Okay.
And ultimately how much we can trust them.
Okay, so how do we actually do that?
Well, the researchers didn't just leave us hanging with the problem.
Okay, good.
They actually tested some practical design tweaks.
Yeah.
That could make a huge difference in how we interact with LLMs.
Okay, give us the goods. What kind of tweaks are we talking about?
Remember how we were talking about those long, elaborate explanations that LLMs sometimes give?
Yeah.
Even when they're not very sure about the answer?
Yeah, it's like they're trying to bury us in information hoping we won't notice they're not so sure themselves.
Exactly. So the researchers experimented with giving people different versions of the LLM's explanations.
Okay.
Some long, some short.
Okay.
And guess what?
What?
They found that people were actually better at judging the LLM's accuracy when the explanations were shorter and to the point.
Wait, really? So less is more when it comes to AI explanations?
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense sometimes I get lost in those long, detailed explanations myself.
It seems like our brains might be wired to equate length of credibility.
Right.
But with these LLMs, it's not always the case.
Yeah.
The researchers think that those long explanations might actually distract us from the core information, making it harder to judge the AI's true confidence level.
So it's not just about making the AI smarter, it's about making it a better communicator.
Absolutely. And good communication involves being clear, concise,
Yeah.
and knowing your audience.
Okay, so shorter explanations are one way to make AI more trustworthy. What other design tweaks do the researchers explore?
Well, one of the most effective approaches was to simply make the AI more upfront about its uncertainty. Remember, LLMs can actually calculate their own confidence level.
Right.
But that information isn't always communicated to the user.
Yeah, it's like the AI's keeping secrets from us.
Right, so the researchers experimented with having the LLMs explicitly state their confidence level.
Okay.
Using phrases like, I'm pretty sure about this one, but, or I'm not entirely confident, but based on the information I have.
So kind of like a trust me, but maybe double check kind of thing.
Exactly. And the results were impressive.
Oh, good.
When the AI was more upfront about its uncertainty, people's confidence became much more calibrated. In other words, people were better at judging whether or not to trust the AI's answer.
So transparency is key. No more AI secrets. But I'm curious, are there other ways to communicate this uncertainty besides just using words?
Absolutely. The researchers suggest that we could use visual cues as well.
Oh, like what?
For example, we could have a confidence meter that shows how sure the AI is about its answer. Or we can even display a range of possible answers.
Yeah.
With each one labeled with its corresponding confidence level.
So giving people more context, more information to work with so they can make a more informed judgment. I like it.
It's all about empowering the user. We shouldn't be afraid to give people more control, more insight into how the AI is arriving at its answers.
You know, as we've been talking about all this, it's made me realize that designing trustworthy AI is about more than just the technology itself. It's also about understanding human psychology.
Yeah.
About how we perceive information and make decisions.
That's a great point. We can't just focus on making AI smarter.
Right.
We also need to make it more human compatible.
So it's not just about AI, it's about AI and humans working together. It's like a partnership, right?
Exactly. And just like any good partnership, it requires trust communication and a shared understanding of each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Well, this deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about. It's fascinating and a little bit daunting to consider the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead as AI becomes more and more integrated into our lives.
It is, and the more we understand about these AI systems,
Yeah.
about their capabilities and limitations, the better equipped we'll be to navigate this new landscape.
This has been such an insightful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
It's been my pleasure.
And for you, dear listener, here's a thought to take with you as we continue to develop increasingly sophisticated AI systems. How do we ensure that those systems remain tools that we control and understand rather than becoming forces that control us? It's a question worth pondering as we venture further into this uncharted territory. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.